Hi, I'm Jackson from ActionJacksonFitness.com, and I'm here today to talk about equipment, workout equipment specifically, and even more specifically, wrist wraps. Not wrist straps, but wrist wraps. What do wrist wraps do? Wrist wraps are going to provide support on your wrists during heavy pulling or pushing days, but they're more specifically better for heavy pushing days because they're going to provide all that support to the wrist. So wrist wraps can be used as a treatment if you already have wrist pain. So if you're currently dealing with an issue and you have wrist pain and you want to keep training, which of course, why wouldn't you want to keep training? They're going to be good for that. So they're going to help you sort of work around the problem or hopefully help cure the problem, cure the pain for you and allow you to keep training. But they can also be used as a preventative mechanism, preventing you from developing an issue in the first place. And this is how I use wrist wraps. I don't have wrist pain currently, but I use them on my heavy pushing days and on my heavy pulling days to provide support so I don't develop wrist pain, because I've seen my friends with it, I've seen certain clients with it, and it can be debilitating and it can be exceptionally painful. Remember, Ben Franklin said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So if we can stop this problem before we have it, all the better. This is going to be especially good if you're a desk jockey, you work on a computer all day, and you're constantly typing with your wrists in that sort of flex position, causing a lot of stress and pain over time. Or if you're on a laptop all the time like I am, and you're constantly using that trackpad and your wrist is in this kind of just funny position all day, that can often lead to sort of stress issues, which then can be exacerbated in the gym when you're doing heavy pushing exercises and moving your wrist around a lot. When should you use wrist wraps? You'll want to use them again on heavy pushing days, but you can also again use them on pull days when you want to just support your wrist. As long as you're not using your wrist straps for your pulls, then you can certainly have the wrist wraps around and be using those for support. You could also use them on a day when you do something like biceps, which when you're doing bicep curls, in order to prevent your wrist from getting in a tough position, use those to support the wrist and keep it nice in line, your hand in line with your wrist. How to actually put them on. So I have my set of wrist wraps here. I'm going to show you exactly how to put them on. So most wrist straps are going to have a little bit of a thumb hook like this. You want to stick your thumb through that hook and feed it through just like that. That's going to help keep the wraps up on the wrist and keep them from moving around too much. So put that thumb hook through. It's going to wrap around the back side of your hand, just like so. And then you're going to pull it nice and snug, again on the wrist, and wrap it around and then Velcro it in. You want it to be nice and snug on there, but you don't want it to be too tight. If you'll notice it's too tight when you start cutting off the circulation in your hand and your hand starts falling asleep. So don't wrap it too tight. Again, snug so it provides support, but you don't want to wrap it so tight that it causes pain or you're having issues when you're actually trying to lift. As you go through your workout, it will move around a little bit as you're flexing your wrist. So you'll have to adjust it probably a couple times throughout your workout. Again, just pull it off, reset, readjust, pull it nice and snug, and again, pull it right on there. Again, when you're putting this on, you don't want to put it too far down your wrist because that's not going to really help. So you don't want to wrap it all the way down here, of course. You want to make sure it's going to be on the wrist, helping to support the flexion in your wrist as you're lifting those exercises. And again, prevention, it's all about prevention with wrist pain. So as you're lifting and as you're doing heavy pressing movements, try to be conscious of keeping your wrist in a nice neutral position so you're not causing excessive pain and bending it back excessively, causing issues. I'm Jackson from ActionJacksonFitness.com, and this